Hello and welcome back to the Virtus Performance Podcast. We have a change of hosts today. It's not Mitch, Lockie or Tyler or Georgia, or Renee I should say now, but it's Jazz. And we have a very special guest with our new coach, no longer me. We have Renee Saulitis. Did I pronounce that correct?
Yes, you did, yes.
Very good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm watching Harvey destroy a football at the moment, but he's quiet, thank goodness, so
Let's
too
keep
bad.
it that way.
Yeah, let's keep it that way. I'm not sure whose footy that is, but I don't think they want it anymore, so that's all right. How are you feeling being the latest addition to the Virtus crew?
Yeah, I think I'm being nicknamed Rookie or something. Did I hear Mitch say that earlier?
It's a thing. I was called Rook for, actually it was probably Georgia when George started, but it's a thing. You get called Rook until somebody else new hops on board, so
I'll cop it then.
you're going to have to cop it.
No, I'm feeling really excited. I feel like I've grown over the 12 weeks that I was doing my placement here from the beginning. So, just excited to be involved and get out to the schools and work with the kids. I think giving them a program and a structured program is something that I probably didn't have towards the later end of my schooling as well. So that'll be cool.
All right, we will start with, just for context, what are you going to be doing here at Virtus? You mentioned the schools. What is that going to look like, and what's your role going to look like here?
Yeah, so performance coach and program facilitator is the quote-unquote.
Fancy.
Yeah, so heading out to schools with Tyler and Lockie. So the first one I think we have is Peninsula Grammar, and the second one being Bulcombe Grammar at the moment that we've lined up. So heading out to those schools for an hour and a bit, just sort of giving them a structured gym program and delivering that to them. Yeah.
So what are the goals of those programs in the sense, I know you said you're going to do their gym program, but what are the goals? Like, what are the schools hoping to achieve out of having Virtus come into the system?
Well, I was speaking to Lockie yesterday, and he sort of said that he was going to ask the school about like what they wanted out of the program as well. So if that's they want them wanting strength gains, or they want to get faster, or they just want to get exposed to different lifts, then yeah, we'll program accordingly.
How old are the students that you're going to be working with?
I think towards the later end of high school, so yeah, year 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, awesome. No, I think it's great, the fact that now we have the opportunity to go into school systems and actually teach kids, and even from younger ages into like later primary schools to year 7, 8 all the way. I think if I had that, I would have absolutely loved it. I think we just had a few, which is normal, like a few rusty old barbells, a couple of dumbbells. And we really didn't get taught any of the strength side of things. We just got taught like all around the conditioning side of things, which again is a really important aspect. But if we had access to a gym and were taught that it's normal to lift from a younger age, I can imagine that would be a different story with like injuries and confidence and exposure to sports and keeping them involved. So it's really exciting that we're touching base with the school systems.
I totally agree. So I grew up in Warrnambool, and I went to a high school there, and I was part of the sporting pathway program, and we did have exposure to gym. I mean, we used like TRX rows and stuff, or TRX like those bands.
Body weight.
Yeah, mostly body weight stuff. Although we did get exposure to some dumbbells and some barbells later on, but I found that really good. But then I moved away to boarding school, and I was kind of left to do my own thing and try and keep the consistency up and go to the gym as well while training for football.
Well, this podcast is about getting to know Renee. So in a little nutshell, first of all, introduce yourself to the Virtus family and tell us who you are.
Cool. So I'm Renee. I'm an AFLW player for the Saints. Leave with that one.
Which is how Renee knows both Mitch and I now. Yeah. She did the internship, and here she is.
Yeah, so grew up in Warrnambool, then went to boarding school in Ballarat for like 2.5 years. Really found that a great experience to be at like a better school, I guess you could say, have greater opportunities and be closer to football. So I played in the NAB League there. Now it's called the Coates League for the Rebels. So yeah, did that. And then I've just played football all my life. So I grew up playing football since I was about 5. Started playing Auskick. Mum wanted me to do dancing, but I was like, Mum, can I just do football?
I love that.
Yeah, and then I kind of did both for a bit, and then gave up the dancing and continued the football, and then played with the boys. And then got drafted in 2020. So yeah. And then I'm studying exercise and sports science, so I'm going into my last year, but I'm doing it part-time just so I can balance a bit more football and work and come in here a lot more. Yeah.
So you lived in Warrnambool. So primary school in Warrnambool?
Yep.
And then in high school, was it still in Warrnambool, but you went boarding?
Halfway through year 10.
one of the questions from the Virtus fam or from the online post was, what was it like to live in a boarding school? So I reckon we'll kind of, I'm curious to know about this. So.
No, it was good. So I kind of enjoy living away from home. Sorry, Mum and Dad. I didn't quite miss them too much.
Renee! I hope they don't listen to this. They probably will.
Maybe, we'll see. But no, I really enjoyed it. Just being around friends and having that routine of like, you do your stuff after school. For me, that was like football or gym and stuff. And then you'd have your structured routine of like sitting down and doing your homework and doing your study and stuff, and having other people that were doing the same thing around you as well. I definitely help. Sorry,
we're having did you say you're logging your dinner? I can't. Just scared. Phone call cuts out. Oh, okay.
Smart.
Thank you.
Have fun, kids. Yeah. So being around people that were sort of like-minded and wanting to excel in school, I guess that was like quite handy and sort of created that environment for me as well. So I think I would have. Yeah. I reckon I did better off going to that school for my ATAR kind of thing.
What did a day like? I know you went into it. What did a day in a life on boarding school kind of look like?
Yeah, so wake up, put your
what time?
School year. It's hard to remember.
Did you wake up super early, or were you one of those people that rolled out of bed 15 minutes before your class?
No, you had to be in the dining hall at during a certain time. I can't remember the exact times, but you had to be in there in a certain time period, and then you'd wear your school gear to there, have food in the dining hall, so that kind of could be like your toast, your cereal, and sometimes hot breakfast.
Fancy.
Food wasn't always the best, but we'll let it slide. Then back to your room, sort of get ready for school, head into school, do your classes, and back to the dining hall for recess, back to the dining hall for lunch, then back there as well for afternoon tea, sort of just grab and go.
So that's where you had all of your meals? Yep. You always went to... Okay, cool.
And then you sort of head off to whatever you've got after school, so maybe that was like school sport, external sport, going to the gym. There's a fair few times I rode my bike to the gym. So one of my friends won a free membership for a whole year, so we kind of just used that.
Was that allowed?
Handy. Yeah, Snap Fitness. Like I just tapped the card in, went in.
Sick. How far was the gym from school?
Probably about 5Ks on the bike.
Yeah, so that's pretty good.
Yeah,
solid
decent.
Effort.
Around the lake. And then come in after that, you go to dinner, then you're in your like study time. So there's like kind of 2 intervals of that. Then you get a break in between, which was called prep break. And yeah, then you just kind of go to bed.
Yeah. What time was bedtime? Bedtime. Although I feel like you're one of those students where you didn't misbehave. You did exactly what you were told. Was that you?
Yes and no.
Okay, I was going to say that was definitely me.
No, sometimes you got to be a little bit naughty and break the rules.
Were teachers like on school camps where where they're like knocking on your door if you're not going to sleep?
No, so they kind of do stay there for a little bit, but then they leave once everyone's sort of settled and in bed. There is a head of house and an assistant head of house that sort of their house is connected to the boarding house, if that makes sense. So there's you go to their sort of main office room and then you can walk through, like you don't walk through, but they walk through to their house there, and there's a couple of doors that goes into their house. And then you've got like your brother houses. So like my house was called Woodbridge and our brother house was called Dart. And then there was another one called Hey Ho, and can't remember the other one was called.
Okay.
Wagon, I think it was called, yeah. And then so you had your sort of sister brother houses, and you would team up with them on sports days and things as well. And then Sunday nights we actually had I can't remember what the dinner was called, but you kind of had your dinner in, everyone sat in, wore nice clothes, and then you went into the chapel. Yeah, okay.
And what did you get to go home on the weekends, or did you stay? Whereabouts was boarding school?
In Ballarat. So you do have the option to go home. Sometimes there is weekends where you are forced out of the boarding house and you have to go somewhere. It's like a long weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mostly stayed in because of football, and it was just kind of easier for my parents as well, not having to drive back and forth a couple of times.
True, because I guess you couldn't drive anywhere.
Yeah.
Which is hence the bike to gym.
Exactly.
And Harvey, talk us through, so you said you started playing football when you were 5 years old. Auskick?
Yep.
And then where did you go from there?
Yeah, so played Auskick at the Warrnambool Football Club, then played my junior footy with the boys there, under 12s, under 14s.
Were you the only girl?
Yes, but then there was another girl that sort of one of my family friends that came along and
Nice.
started joining in, which was nice. There was a girl I think as well that was like in the age group above me, so sort of had someone to aspire to.
Awesome.
And then from there wasn't really like a women's competition in Warrnambool at that time, so went to Ararat's dorm, just knew a few people who I'd played footy with before there. That was in the Ballarat competition, and then once I moved to boarding school, I actually played for a Ballarat team, sort of in between NAB League and representative sides and stuff.
So how old were you when you first started playing in a women's AFLW league team?
So the women's at the time, it was kind of like seniors, I think.
Yep.
Or under 18s, and I was probably about 15, 16.
Okay.
Maybe 15, yeah.
And was that the first year that they introduced having competitions for
women
in general, not just having the boys?
As in locally or
just in general? Was that so?
I think the team was quite new. Yeah, that I played for in Ararat. So I didn't really travel for the trainings. I just travelled for the games.
And how many teams in the comp did you have to play against?
Maybe 6 or 8.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, we won the premiership, I think, that year as well. Like, our team was quite stacked.
Yeah, nice.
Everyone sort of flocked to the one team. That's probably why I went there as well. Like, just knew everyone.
Was there anyone that you've continued to play with from that team or are currently still playing it with?
No, but a couple got drafted. So, Georgia Clark went to Collingwood. She's now at Essendon.
Yeah.
I think there was a couple others. But one of them got picked up. Ella Wood got picked up to Richmond, but retired after a year or something. So, yeah.
Okay, interesting. And so then talk us through from that team, you went and played for the NAB League?
Yep.
And then which NAB League were you playing for?
So the Greater Western Victorian Rebels, which was kind of like Western Victorian part of Victoria.
Yeah, okay.
The Western Victoria.
Were you with Friendy then?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were with Friendy.
Yeah.
Was anyone else playing for that team?
That you know?
In general, that you now cross paths with?
There's a couple girls in the AFLW, so Georgia Clark, Lauren Butler, Sophie van der Heuvel, just a few. Yeah, don't know a few.
Okay. And then from there, you were drafted to Saints?
Yep, so played NAB League, played for Team Vic a couple of times, played for Vic Country a couple of times, and then I was in the AFLW Academy in my draft year, my top age year.
Exciting.
I think Friendy was bottom age at that time as well in the academy, so I was only in there for 1 year and then got drafted. But with the academy, went up to Darwin for like a camp, and it was so sweaty, and you couldn't tell if it was rain or sweat. Yeah, it was hectic, and we did a bit of gym and stuff there, which was nice.
Okay. And talk us through the moment when you were drafted into Saints. What did it feel like? What were the emotions, excitement? What was going through your brain?
Yeah, so 2020, it was the year of COVID, so I was at boarding school, and we had a external 2K time trial, and I did it at home on an oval, and it wasn't good. It wasn't fun.
Was this with Ben at Saints?
Nah, this was before, because I wouldn't have known Ben then, because I wasn't drafted. I did it with my dad. Dad didn't run.
So he was there for moral support, clapping and going, "Go Renee!"
He wasn't really clapping.
Oh. Moral support then.
Yeah, pretty much. I should have done an ass track, but we were told to do it on an oval. But anyway. So no combine just because of COVID. So we didn't get to speak to any clubs in person. They were all done online.
Yeah.
So then draft night, no one was allowed in, when they usually go, Marvel or whatever. So no one was in. So I was in an Airbnb with my parents, and we had it live stream set up onto the TV. I think we were phone or computer connected to the TV, watching it. It was really weird. Just sitting there on the couch. Can't remember if my brother was there or not. I don't think he was. Just sitting there nervously for the whole time. I was nervous. I was meant to go, but teams were telling me that, I was going to go a bit higher than what I did. So when a few teams started passing, I think Collingwood and Geelong maybe even passed on a pick, and I was like, oh God, am I going to get picked up? And fell through to the Saints, and yeah.
And here
it's
you
just
are.
history, and I cried, and it was all good. Went back to the boarding house, had a bit of a party. One of the girls next to my room, Maggie Karras, she got picked up to Melbourne that day as well.
Yeah.
So it was really exciting.
Oh, wait, as in your roommate?
Well, she was next door, yeah,
No
in my
way.
house,
So there was two of you.
Yeah.
You were just celebrating.
Yeah.
Oh, what? That's sick.
Went back to the boarding house. They were all sitting in the common room as well watching it. And then when we got back, it was just like so much fun and like
Oh, nice.
a balloon set up and everyone was happy and yeah.
Oh, it's so exciting. I didn't know the story about, because I knew it was 2020 when it happened, but I guess I didn't know the like issues with COVID and how it all happened. And
yeah, I spent most of that year doing online school at home as well.
Crazy. So it was, so you weren't actually on campus during that. You had to go home.
I'd say most of the year, was at home on just doing online school on my computer. And I remember also like I didn't really have any like running or gym programs, and I was just doing like gym at home with like a pair of dumbbells and a couple bands and stuff, and running like 3 times a week, just making up the sessions myself kind of as well.
That's right. That's how we all start.
Yeah.
It's literally how we start. You just trial and error and go, oh, I like that, or it's probably not smart because you've given yourself calf strain or hurt yourself.
Love my fartlex actually. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, just did a heap of that.
Yeah, that literally is how I started too. Like I was playing netball and then I just started writing my own running programs and started running, like making my own like gym programs and flyers, and just started to puzzle piece and try and make sense of all the information that we're thrown into, like when you're studying sports science and S&C. So
yeah, I feel like that's where my passion grew as well, like going to the gym, so riding my bike to the gym, and then I would start out with some sort of jumping and plyometric stuff, and loved like trying to jump really high on the box and stuff like that, and then kind of just work my way through like some sort of barbell movement, whether that was lower body or upper body, and puzzle piece.
Did you learn from was it first when you started at Saints where you got into strength and conditioning, or was it even before then that when was the first time you went, hey, I actually really like this and it's cool and I want to keep going?
Not entirely sure, but I remember Mitch telling me I was closet strong, and that kind of had to come out. Didn't know I was that strong, and then
Very.
No, I feel like I found a love for it when I was at school. Maybe I mean, took a bit of commitment and dedication to run my bike there for 20-25 minutes and then go to the gym and then come back, all in the space of one afternoon.
Very religious. Not religious.
Yeah.
What is the word I'm looking for?
Dedicated.
No. Driven. Yeah, all of these. I said the wrong one. Anyway, continue.
So I just sort of, I started to enjoy that, just going by myself and working out what felt good. I kind of had some basic programs from the Rebels, but that was sort of all dumbbell based, and I don't know, it just kind of just grew.
Mm-hmm. And so why I was asked this same question when I was on the podcast with Mitch. Why did you decide to go down the path of exercise and sports science?
Good question. Well, I was in high school at boarding school, and I was like having a look at some of the degrees and stuff, and I was like, well, I like sport, I do like the gym, I do like all that sort of stuff, so I think that's why I chose it.
So just like a factor of you really just found that you enjoyed it, not necessarily the sporting side of things, but more of the gym side of things?
No, a bit of both. I think like trying to like doing all the extra stuff on the side, like the gym and the conditioning, to better your performance as well.
Okay.
And I mean, it definitely helps me learn about
you like numbers, don't you? You like watching your numbers go up.
A little bit.
Yeah, you do. I know you do. I'm doing your rehab every single time. You're like, where are my numbers? Where are my numbers, Jazz? Send them through.
All right.
And your bench press?
Yeah, I was, even today, that's like the first time I've probably done a proper upper session, and I'm like, I don't think I really enjoy this anymore.
Really?
Done so much lower body for my knee that I'm like, I think I like doing lower body now.
We're gonna get to your knee in a little bit, but I wanted to kind of talk about other things. But Renee is one of my in my broken crew. She did her ACL.
Not broken now.
No. But that's just how we put it into context.
Yes.
Mitch deals with all the healthy girls that are non-broken, and I deal with the broken girls and help fix them to get them back to Mitch. And but we'll come back to that in just a little bit. I want to keep going on the sports science. So you are what year? Second year exercise and sports science?
Third year, but doing it part-time.
Yes.
Yeah. So I did my first 2 years pretty much full-time, except for last year I did 3 units in the T2 and then 1 in T3, just to sort of break it up for footy.
Mm-hmm.
I found it was a little bit too much at the start, so I was like, I'll just drop 1. And now I'm enjoying doing just 2.
Yeah, okay. So 2 units at the time. When will you finish your...
Should graduate next year, at the end of next year.
Exciting. And are you keen to keep going with the coaching sense and the strength and conditioning, or is there other interests and what do you?
No, I don't think at this stage that I will study anything further. Not entirely sure what I'm interested in or which path I want to go down. To see where the road takes me, and I guess I hope that football also goes full time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the key thing is you've got to balance the career as well with the football, which again is your career. So it's you're doing a dual career, which again, another one of the questions I had is how do you actually find doing that, because it's such a physical task of making sure that, and again, you're very dedicated with your nutrition, your recovery. I see all your Snapchats and your Instagrams at the recovery place, and honestly, the best kind of athlete to have, because I don't even need to tell you to do all that kind of stuff. But yeah, how do you find the dual career and how do you find balancing that?
Yeah, so I think because we are part-time athletes as well, usually training in the afternoons, I find that having something to do during the day is quite helpful, and studying and working towards something else as well, because you never know when football is going to go. Like, God forbid I could do another knee and be out or whatever else, or could end up, knock on wood, this career could end, or you never know. So just trying to have something to do during the day, and I feel like that takes your mind off it as well, especially when football's busy or you might not be winning, you might not be getting selected and whatnot, so you've got something else to do. But yeah, you kind of just, it's helpful being sort of part-time, where we do have the opportunity to work and to do study and stuff during the day and then go to football. I feel like if I sat around all day and then went to football, probably wouldn't be.
If it was a full-time program though, I guess that would be filled with more football in that sense as well. Have you thought about what a full-time career in football and sport could look like versus the dual career? Do you think that you would be, all right, I want to go all in as the athlete pathway, or do you think that you'd go, hey, I actually really enjoy being a coach and I enjoy other aspects of what you get to do in your life? Have you thought about that?
Not really, but I feel, so with the AFLW, I feel like they are heading to full-time, but that full-time will look different to the men. The men are in like 9 to 5 most days or half days. And with us, they're trying to give us, or still, because they've seen that with the AFLW, the balance of the work-life stuff has been quite beneficial, and they feel as though the men could look to introduce some of that as well. So I've lost my train of thought.
That's right. You were talking the difference, like a full-time versus the part-time, and you're enjoying your coaching, and you were saying how the men's, it'll look different in that sense, which again, they're different programs and they will. There's a lot of differences in the sense at the moment from coaching perspective with an even athlete. And you were talking through what it would be like if you did full-time, part-time.
I think being a full-time athlete would be like pretty cool, and
it's very cool.
Something you don't always get to do, or not everyone has the opportunity to do. So I think that would be pretty cool. And I mean, you still have a little bit of time here and there to possibly study and stuff, but realistically, like, I'll be done my degree before we're full-time probably anyway. So yeah.
And so it was 2020 when you first started playing for Saints?
Yep.
2020, the first few years, how were they? What was the experience like?
So like first game was quite cool as well. It was against Bulldogs and it was under lights at night time. Adrenaline was pumping. There was a few people there, a couple thousand, I think.
Crazy. Yeah,
and I remember just like kicking it, doing a really nice kick that led to a goal, and I was pretty happy with that.
Go on.
Yes. But it has its ups and downs. Like, you're not always getting picked as well. So I've played 9 games, missed last season because of my knee. So I think I played 3 games in the first season. So we only have like 10 rounds for those listening. And then in the next one I played 6. So a little bit more than the first season, but I still feel as though that haven't played my best footy yet. I feel like that's coming, and hopefully that's come around the corner and I can play my best footy soon. So
And tell everyone, what position do you play?
Position. Yeah, fair few of them. No. The first season I was mainly a small forward, and the second one got thrown on the wing a little bit as well as small forward. And then last season, before I did my knee, I was training in the back line to hopefully play for the back line. Yeah.
Do you have one that you prefer and you enjoy, or you feel like you're more suited towards?
It's hard to tell with the back line yet because I haven't really played there. I've played quarter and half.
I wouldn't want to come against you in a tackle. Heaven forbid when we start to get to contact training, I'm going to be squished.
We'll get TJ to sit there.
I'll need to have boots and then no watch. Like one time I did it with T. And my whole arm was like bruised. I was scared about tackling. Before that, you were talking through losing your train of thought again. Your back line, what's your preference?
It's hard to tell. I mean, small forward's quite hard. Like, you don't get much of the football, and when you do, you've got to make an impact kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell, with the back line. I haven't played there, so not sure, but I really did enjoy the wing. I feel like there's a lot of freedom out there. Yeah. I mean, it is a tough position, and you've got to be in the right spot, so you've got to run behind the football, you've got to run ahead of football, you've got to be in the right spot at the stoppages and stuff, so we'll just... I don't know. Time will tell.
Time will tell.
Yeah, play a few different positions and maybe play backline this season. See how we go.
Yeah, okay. Love it. All right, let's go to your knee now. Let's talk me through. So I know you just said before you did injure your knee. Tell everyone what happened. We'll go from there.
Cool. So first pracky game against Carlton, 1.5 quarters in. I smothered the football and I was kind of like running and this girl came and bumped me on my right side and it was my left leg. So I think my knee kind of was like in a valgus position underneath me. She hit me and it just went pop. 30 seconds of quite painful. Yeah, I was sort of rolling around grabbing the other knee because I didn't want to move the other one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was kind of like grabbing this one.
I wasn't there at the game.
Yeah.
I just heard through other people that that it was okay, but we had a little scare. That's kind of what the context was.
Yeah, and so I was like laying on the ground and then doctor and physio came up and I remember like just seeing even like tests on the sidelines like, oh no, like sure, no, can't be, like everyone thinking ACL. Pain went, got up, had a little bit of pain on the outside, but I think that was from the bone bruising. Went to the bench and doctor did the good old Latchman's test, tugged on it, no movement, still strong, stability was fine. Did some run-throughs and some change direction on the sideline, all good.
You're crazy.
Went back on the field for 2 minutes, had a kick, just didn't feel right. I was like, I'm just going to call it. It just doesn't feel right. It's not worth it. See how it pulls up, whatnot. So iced it, put a bandage on and went home and ached that night and then had some Nurofen, went to sleep and then trained for 2 weeks. So training for 2 weeks sort of was a bit modified. I would sort of hang out with Jazz at the start, get told to kind of push and try and get back into training. I remember Ben being like, "Oh, like just get her back in there," or like. So I
just wanted the best for you.
Yeah.
And I guess like you weren't showing any other symptoms, so we just didn't see
no
the
swelling.
need to. And again, that's not my call or my scope, but because there was no symptoms, there was no real pain. It just felt.
Yeah, I just felt I wasn't 100% confident on it, or I would take off and I'd feel it kind of.
It was that first push and that first step. I remember doing
in the
all
acceleration.
Of that, and you're like, Jazz, this feels weird. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it just kind of felt like, not that nothing was there. I don't know. It was a real.
Technically, there wasn't.
Yeah, true. There was. I don't know. It was just a real weird sensation. I remember, just taking off for like. I remember Mitch was kicking a couple footballs at me as well, and I was leading, but I just was a little bit hesitant. Then joined in some drills. Built my confidence back up and was running around. But then I remember I got tackled by Stevie and I was like, not that she hit my knee or anything, but I was like, oh my God, my knee.
Yeah.
And I was like real protective over it and it was really weird. And then I remember during those 2 weeks as well, I felt quite a bit off.
You weren't yourself.
I was quite anxious and I was like, I'm not going to have caffeine. I just feel like it's going to make me feel worse. Felt a bit odd. And yeah, it was really, really weird. And then I lost my train of thought.
You got it? You're talking. You keep going. You were doing well. Talking about your knee. You felt something wasn't right, and we could kind of tell. But again, no symptoms at all apart from the hesitancy. There was literally no swelling and no pain.
I remember crazy. I had to do some running because I wasn't. So, coach asked me, "You're right to go for pracky game number 2," and I was like, "Just doesn't feel right, and I don't think I can." Like he's like, "You're going to play your best," and I was like, "Probably not." So let's just sit it out. Sat that out, had to do some running, and then I remember hitting my top speed as well. Weird, but yeah, hit my top speed with no ACL, and then did some change of direction at training before our jumper presentation night, and I remember I did some change of direction. It was like a tea drill, and I went to change, and I just broke down in tears. I don't know why. My body was just like, must have been telling me something was wrong. Ben was like, "Are you right?" Cried again. And
there was
then,
lots of tears.
Yeah, I think I cried like 3 times. And then I remember also during those 2 weeks, so I had new orthotics just maybe a month before that. My arches in my feet started playing up. My lower back started hurting. So everything was sort of compensating. And I was like, this isn't right. So then we went to the doc. She was like, right, let's just get a scan. Make sure, it's just your bone bruising. We thought it was a fat pad irritation. Then I remember waking up to a text that said, your ACL looks a bit thick. And I was like, that's interesting. So like Lisa had said, your ACL looks a bit thick. I'll wait for the radiologist to sort of call and give the news. And then I picked up the phone to her and I was like, hey, how are you? And she's like, didn't respond to the how are you. Was like, yeah, you've done your ACL. And I just, was in shock.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, now I know why I was feeling so weird and off and would break down and didn't know why I was crying, but I was crying and I didn't know why. And it was,
your body was telling you something's up.
Yeah, something was wrong. And I remember still doing gym and stuff normally, but I just couldn't properly get it into full extension at the time.
Yeah, which is why the lack of swelling and the lack of symptoms was so, getting those scan results, it was very shock for me, let alone can imagine how you felt in that moment.
And Lisa, the doctor, she just felt so bad that she didn't diagnose it. And I was like, it's not your fault. No one even knew.
You can't be you couldn't be sure. And everyone would have dealt with that situation in different contexts, but you had no other symptoms. And it wasn't so even weird. It was quite bizarre, but we can only say we can make guesses on why it didn't happen, or, I mean, you're very dedicated in the gym perspective and physically strong and you're looking after taking care of your body, and then the rest is the lack of swelling and the lack of pain and symptoms. Yeah,
I remember just even at training, we'd strapped it up and felt kind of confident, and I jumped up for marks and I actually remember changing direction and kind of running around someone as well and taking a kick, and I was like, and then sometimes I'd feel like shit. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah. Except from the confusion and the kind of what just happened, how were you feeling in that moment, knowing that this was going to be a long-term injury, at least looking at your 9 to 12 months before you're going to get into any your training? What was kind of going through?
I guess I didn't know the full extent until I got into it. I think initially I was quite nervous for surgery, so that was my first surgery ever.
Yeah. And
I feel like that's quite an invasive or big surgery to have to start with. Not that I hope I get any more, knock on wood, but I think initially I was quite shocked when Lisa told me, and then I remember my housemate Zoe was home and she heard me on the phone as well, and I just called her out from her room and I was like, Zoe, and I just broke down and I was like, oh, I've done my ACL. And then I remember that later that day I also had a sixth principal, so that was my first internship, a seminar, but it was a practical at the Oval, and I just went there as well, and I was like, I kind of just need to take my mind off it for a little bit. I was probably just in a lot of shock for a few weeks until I had this, a week until I had the surgery. Yeah,
I reckon it was a week.
Yeah, it was about a week
that I saw you. I just gave you a big hug. That's all I could do. And then we're going to spend a lot of time together.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when the news broke to the girls as well, I was sitting in the change rooms, and our head of AFLW broke the news, but she came in. I was just sitting there and I was just waiting for her to kind of gather the troops and get everyone in. And then I was sitting there and she told everyone, and everyone was just so shocked, and I was like, I don't even believe it. I didn't believe it.
It's hard to believe it with what you were physically doing.
And I mean, we went to the surgeon. We were contemplating as well, do I play with no ACL? Because I was able to train with no ACL. But we thought, long term, it's best to get it operated on, and so that I don't do anything else to my knee, like a meniscus or something as well.
Yeah. The risk, you're so young.
Yeah.
From that standpoint, you would want to just get it done and then get the show back on the road.
Yeah, exactly. Long-term approach than a short-term. I mean, I would have been having surgery after the season or something, and then having 2 modified seasons. So I thought, let's scrap one season and go to the next kind of thing.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And then so talk us through your rehab experience at the as a whole. What have you learnt from it?
Said yesterday on the podcast, I reckon I didn't realise that you could lose so much muscle mass and strength and how long that takes to build back. My muscle mass is still not the same, and I'm coming up to, I think I'm 8 months today. It just that just took so long, and now I fully understand.
Have you watched an online surgery of an ACL construction?
I've seen footage of my own ACL being.
Oh, there you go. That's even cooler.
Seen the drilling and the those things they use in there. Ugh. But now I can watch it, and I'm kind of fine about it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to kind of sit in the room and watch one
It'd be pretty cool.
From the corner.
We can go together.
Don't know how I would go with seeing the inside of someone's knee, but anyway, I would love to see that. But no, I think I fully understand now what other people are going through. I mean, mine has probably been a little smoother than maybe normal. But
everyone's different.
Yeah.
Every knee is different. Every person's different.
Although, we kind of started changing direction a little bit later just because my right leg is so much stronger.
Well, you got a big
I'm
quad.
so strong, yeah.
Yeah, I'm so strong. and for context, so I'm doing Arnie's knee and her
Arnie's
rehabbing.
my nickname, by the way.
Arnie is, yes. So if you hear Arnie around the gym, and why is this is one of the questions later. Tell the people why your nickname is Arnie.
I don't know who named someone at the Saints gave me Arnie.
You don't remember who it was?
No, I don't know. Just for being strong.
Just for being strong. What was your couple of your injury, actually, and during rehab PBs on some of your strength lifts? I know you've got these written down.
I don't. Sure. I actually don't. Well, I'm trying to think. Trap bar would be, I think it was 167.5. Jesus. 2. Bench press.
I know. Sorry.
77.5 for 1. What's the other major lift? That's probably.
We hadn't done much squatting.
No, I remember only doing box squats for maybe 120.
Just for a casual 120?
Maybe, but it's still a box.
Still.
Yeah.
Still very strong.
Yeah.
I even remember this would have been on my podcast ages ago, and Mitch asked one of my questions was, who's the strongest athlete? And I was like, Renee. And it was just how we just recently did 2RM trap bar deads, and you hit that. And I was like, Jesus.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Closet strong. I didn't really know I was that strong until.
And how many pull-ups? What's your pull-up PB?
I think overhand is maybe 13.
Just a casual 13.
Probably not now, but yeah.
Oh, it's probably very close. Still very impressive. But that's why Arnie's nickname is Arnie.
Detour.
I go between Arnie, Arns, Renee, Nay. People are like, why is it Arnie, Arns? What is this? What are you trying to say? But there you go, everyone. So if you hear it, start calling her Arnie. That's her nickname as well as Rook. Cool.
Love it. Cool.
We've gone off track. We were talking
You were talking about my rehab and the difference between my limbs.
How did we get off track so far?
Because we were talking about how strong I was beforehand, and that's why it's taken me so long to...
Thank you.
Yes.
So Renee, and we have, for context in the rehab space, we very much go an outcome-based approach rather than a time-based approach. And what we mean in that sense is using our outcome measures to dictate what you're capable of doing, which, again, is conversations that we have. Renee's just having a sip. Next time, you can pull the mic away.
Yeah. Didn't want to make any more noise than I had to.
It's fine. But from an outcome-based perspective, one of the tests we look at is a 90-degree quad or knee extension. Hey, Harves, we've got another podcast member. A 90-degree quad test to isolate the quads as best as we can. And because Renee and her right side is very strong, so I think it was sitting at around 75, 80 versus it was 40 or 45 on the left side, although both of them sit above average in that sense of where female populations are maybe around that 30 to 40 kilograms at roughly, I think it was 5 months time. And sometimes people even lower. Everyone's very different. But because the limb symmetry and the limb symmetry index, or LSI, was so different and varied, that was something we needed to consider, because we don't want it to be compensating and having compensatory movements and not having that ability to absorb load, like dissipate load and control and eccentrically and all those, to like the factors that would have played. So we had to change volumes and we had to kind of change paths and kind of pivot in that sense, which is where everyone is so varied and different. And went through, as we had an extended period of pre-season, went through an extended period of strength to help bring them closer.
And I mean, I'm still doing more sets on my left than I am on my right as well.
It's just taking some time, and we're getting there. We'll test again soon, but I think the last time we were sitting around that 75%, so we're 70, 75. But yeah, that's in that sense of why, from the outcome-based perspective, Arns was held back in the sense of, yes, moving well, but we had that extra time to work with and play with, so really pushing your strength, as well as some other complications with your shins and some problem solving, and we got an appointment this week for your podiatry to see if that has anything.
And an injection, or a couple of them on Thursday.
Onto your shins, yeah. So we've had and you can kind of talk through the kind of hiccups and things that you had to overcome. And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be physical. You can talk around some of the mental aspects of it. What are the hiccups and the pivot? Like, what did you have to overcome during the rehab process?
I think early days we were still playing. So I was around a lot of people then, which was good, and having everyone there all the time. Now it's sort of, I'm on my own a little bit more, whether that's me doing change of direction by myself or in the gym by myself. If I'm got other things to do, so I kind of line my hours with like what the Saints girls are doing at the moment, from either being here or doing uni and stuff like that. But I think I was like, bleh.
It's okay.
Talking about yes. But then also my shins have been giving me grief probably for good 5 years or so. Had them back in the NAB league, and that was kind of like shin splints, and then went to calf tightness, and then now it's kind of just like the muscle sheaths that's connected to the shin. So had them scanned a couple of months ago, and the right one had a bit of a reaction in it compared to the left. But we're going to inject both of them, and hopefully this fixes it. I mean, we've tried a lot of other things, orthotics and volume modifications, and step count. Yeah. It's not looking good recently.
I think because it's been such a factor, the actual rehab in the sense around if we consider your knee as your flying in that sense, the quad deficit, yes, but you've done so well, and we've controlled all the controllables that we can. But it's now, there's always, again, the importance of treating you as a human and an athlete rather than just your knee, because there's so many other factors that we need to consider. But again, next one is to get an outsourced podiatrist and get an assessment and see if that's contributing to some of the loading that's happening through medial tib and anything in that sense. So I'm excited to go and learn from and see where this is at, which has been really fun as well because you're exercise sports science. We've been able to kind of have those conversations around and been able to teach and kind of.
And I feel like I also have an understanding where I can say, hey, this doesn't look right in my program, or can we try this, or should we do this, or like, what about this and whatnot.
Exactly, and it's always the conversations, and it's like, sometimes, okay, having the freedom, what do you want in your upper session, or what are the extra things you want in your program, and then I love the fact of all your questions, why are we doing this, Jazz, why are we doing that, because then I get to keep practicing, and in that sense of being like why we're actually doing it, and be like, oh, actually, that is exactly why we're doing it, and then how do I say it out loud? So it's been a fun process, and again, like the key thing, I know rehab sucks and it's crap, but you get to meet some pretty cool people and build some cool relationships in it. So, and now you're here, you're a coach.
Yes,
rehab,
I remember asking you.
Saints
I remember telling you at the start,
Vertis.
that I was going to be asking you why a lot, because I also wanted to learn. I felt like it was a good opportunity to use the rehab as a learning curve and learn about ACLs as well. Now I feel like I'm quite interested in them as well. But then I've had more time to do other things. Although it's been up and down, like issues with the shins, but I felt like my knee's gone smoothly and I'm growing confidence in it, so that's good. It's just sometimes you can be a bit lonely, but that's
How did you deal with some of the? Because it's completely normal in that sense, especially with it not being a full-time program. Typically, you'd have a rehab coach in that sense, and we've had to do most of it like online.
Yep.
How have you kind of overcome some of that sense of being separated from the group in that sense? How have you overcome some of that?
Probably asking you questions a lot of the time, or like, hey Jazz, can you clarify what this means? Or
Snapchat's great. Snapchat and Instagram, sending me all my videos and everything. I'll just get 10 videos and then I just end up on a FaceTime with Renee in the middle of the gym. It's great.
It's probably happened like once. Come on.
More like 5 or 10.
No. Sometimes I'm at the start of my change of direction. I'm like, hang on. Or like if I've got this speed thing, I'm like, is it a fly or is it a full effort across this meterage or whatever? But I feel like just tried to
Harvey, stop eating the mat. I'll get in trouble.
Reach out to you and clarify things and make sure I'm doing the right thing. I mean, I'm quite like dedicated and driven and stuff, so I find like turning up to my sessions and stuff is not that hard. I mean, I've had a few sessions where they've been a bit of a slog and things aren't feeling good or like just feeling a bit down, but get through those and the other ones feel better. And then and I feel like also having our new high performance manager come in, she's invested a lot of time into us as well. So I feel like even yesterday I saw her there before I had to go on the Ultra G and whatnot, and she looked at my change direction just from inside and said it looked good. So it's lucky I feel like I have the exercise and sports science background, so I can make rational decisions when I need to if someone is not there, sort of thing. Yeah,
the autonomy. And I always will try and create, well, you got to have, that's the reality is it's a part-time program, so we got to create the autonomy around the rehab in the sense of you're not always going to have a coach, which is why the education and the learning is so important. But again, it's not easy, especially having to watch everyone doing this. I know you're in a little bit, but especially when it's just the running and you're just doing handballs, and it's, again, I've never had a serious major injury where it stopped me. So just that level of would be extremely tough, which you've done a really good job, and hopefully we're now out of the trenches. Where
I feel like we're in the good part, starting to like do change of direction and actually move and feel good. So
I love it. Yeah, awesome. And what is the sorry, we've got a Harvey that's still eating the mat.
Terror.
He's not a terror.
He's chewing the mat.
He is chewing the mat.
It's not normal thing. Not a normal thing to do.
All right. So now it is how many weeks until the season?
Well,
roughly.
If the AFL and the AFLPA decide on the CBA, we'd know, but we don't actually know.
So roughly when is it starting?
Season or pre-season? Pre-season, roughly maybe 5 to 6 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
And then the season likely to be in August. Don't know exactly, but we'll see. Hopefully they get their stuff together and they can organise it.
How are you feeling for it all?
Excited.
You're excited?
It should be good. I mean, it'll be interesting to see where I'm at in terms of like how much training and stuff I can do. It's probably a question for you.
It is a question for me. We got to do your testing again, Arn. So first of all, so Renee is getting her shins injected, as well as we're going to have the podiatrist assessment to see if we need to change up some of the footwear, change up how some of our running biomechanics in that sense, and kind of look into the nitty-gritties around what is happening actually at the foot and the calf and how that's affecting running loads and volumes. So definitely the key thing is working together in an integrated, holistic approach to help kind of, yes, the injections potentially is going to be a bit of a, in that sense, a Band-Aid for that sense of helping with some of the initial symptoms and deloading from there, and then it'll be a build-up and test.
Slow build-up.
A slow build-up, yeah. So we're going to go with symptoms and I'll sit down with Ames, the the wonderful physio at Saints, and come up with a bit of a plan around that.
Yep.
I
feel like that'll put me back a little bit, but
we all have
that's
hiccups.
Okay. Yeah.
Hiccups are okay in that sense. Where like this is the last thing we want is to have further stresses or we need to understand why in that sense. And again, from my perspective, we don't always know why, and we need to ask for help, and
I'd love to know why.
Same. I'm very curious to learn. Very curious to kind of understand and learn and see what has happened, because again, it's a more of a complex case in that sense where we need other people to help, and then it's the decision making. So at the moment, we don't have all the answers, but we will get the answers for you and then kind of go from there. But there will be a period of deload and then reload for you, more so from the dynamic thinking your pliers and your running volume and then building up. But we'll have that chat, I know.
Lucky we've had a longer off season than usual.
Exactly. So we've just played to the benefits of having a longer time and go from there. But
where do you think I'll be at for pre-season?
I can't answer that, Ans. I think you're on the right track.
Outcome based.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you know the drill. That's the sense. I can't give you specific dates and times, but all I can say is you're doing every single thing possible, and we're going to understand what's happening, the deload period in the build-up, and you're on track, like on stead, like you change your direction, where you're moving well, confidently in some of those controlled skills, kicking, where we need to be.
Yep.
And the footy will just, once our outcomes are hit, our footy will just keep on without going into nerd zone.
Don't want to bore everyone.
Exactly. Apologise. But you're sitting nicely. The key thing at the moment is, one, your quads, getting those symmetry back together, as well as your understanding what's happening at the lower shank with your foot as well. So that's kind of the key things for you. But keep your head up high. You've done a fantastic job. So I'm very proud in the sense of all the work that you've done.
Thanks for being my rehab coach.
Oh, you're so welcome. Look at us here. I know. It has been 51 minutes. That's gone extremely quick.
We've done well.
We have done well. I thought I was...
How are you feeling? What's the heart rate?
No, I feel like my heart rate's fine because... I love how you know the drill.
Yeah, I'm at 83.
I was just saying to Renee before, as this is the first podcast I have hosted, and I was saying to Georgia, who's just hidden there in the corner.
Hi, Georgia.
Doing some work.
Slee.
It's just gone up now that we've started talking about it. It's at, it's 70.
I'm at
70. I'm at 76. I'm doing better than you.
Hang on, it's going down.
Hey, stop getting... 80? We're getting competitive again.
78.
All right. So a couple of questions. We've answered a few of them.
I'm ready for this.
This question actually is from me, and then Georgia, have you got your question ready? You gonna text it to me? I don't know if I have one. You got to text me a question.
Right, read yours out.
I want to know what your protein ball recipe is. I saw them on your story the other day, and I was like, they look good.
Oh, my phone's over there. I think, those are the peanut butter ones, right? Yeah. So
I'm a peanut butter fan.
It's actually kind of hard to make. So you do it in the NutriBullet, but when you're blending it, like when I was blending it, the NutriBullet stopped because it's so thick. But I think I can send it to you, but to reel it off.
To the Virtus fam as well?
So I think there's a tablespoon or two of peanut butter.
Yep, I'll be going more towards it too.
Yeah. When I do my cooking though, it's kind of like, yeah, that'll do. Yeah, that looks right. That tastes well. And then I think it's like half a cup of oats. No, maybe a full cup, and then maybe half a cup of milk. Some choc chips you put in there after, some protein powder. So I did like 2 scoops. I think I'm missing something.
I don't know. Did you put dates in or anything?
No, I have done another version with had the dates.
'Cause I like dates, peanut butter, protein powder.
Yeah. I feel like it's quite hard to blend in the NutriBullet though. It's a little bit difficult, but I did really like them. Okay.
All right, I'll get the recipe. And then Georgia's just sent through.
You can send it through.
Thank you, because I want to make them once I have time.
I can send you both of them. Yep.
Thank you, and then we can. If anyone else wants it, let me know, and I'll send.
It might be here.
All right, Georgia has a question for you. What AFL player would you model your game on?
Oh, that's tough because I don't know what position I like I'm best in. So then, not sure. AFL or AFLW? Either. I don't know, maybe like a little nifty small forward or someone that's got a bit of speed.
Name them.
I don't know.
Name them.
I don't know if I can give you one. I'm trying to think, but wouldn't say I'm that agile as a Cozzy Pickett, but someone who's a little bit sneaky and has a bit of speed and
I'll come back
some
to
good
you.
ball skills.
Come back to you on a name.
No. That's bad by me, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
One of the other questions was, do you miss living with Nacho and Norm and your mum?
I knew Kate would have asked that. A little bit.
Oh, you paused on that.
Okay. Let's see if she listens. Hello, Kate, if you're listening, and
Give 'em a
Nacho and
shout
Norman.
out.
Yeah, shout out to them. I lived with them for two and a bit, maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
So when I initially moved to Melbourne, moved in with Kate, and Nacho and Norman. That was really good. And then
Who were Nacho and Norm?
Kate's 2 sausage dogs.
Very cute. I
So
always
cute.
call Nacho Taco.
Yeah.
I always, for some
Every
reason,
time.
literally every time.
You must have been named that.
Yeah.
No, they were great to live with, and Kate really taught me a lot and bit of a mother figure. So yeah, it was nice.
And who are you? Where do you live at the moment? You're in close to the club.
Yes, so I'm in like a share house arrangement, I guess you could say. Living, I would call them my friends now. 3 others in my house, so we're like 5 minutes from the football club in Bentley. Yeah, loving it.
Very nice.
All get along, so it's really nice. They all do different things. Zoe's actually strength and conditioning coach. Terry Lee does before and after school care, and Lorraine's a bit of a chemist scientist type thing. So
She does fancy stuff.
yeah,
Fancy smart things.
it's cool. She sends us like pictures into the group. She's got all this gear on and like these
Sick.
masks and stuff. It's pretty cool.
I love hearing about other
people's jobs.
industries and
Yeah.
their jobs. I'm like, that's so cool.
Yeah,
But
she literally works in like a lab.
so cool.
Yeah.
So smart. And then we had, do you miss playing at South?
Ooh, someone asked that from home.
Yeah, they did. I'll be able
Um,
to show you who it was.
what?
I can show you who it was
Yeah,
at the
okay.
end.
I definitely loved my time there. I was there for maybe a couple of years. So this is when there was kind of like a women's comp in Warrnambool, and South came out with a team before Warrnambool did. So Warrnambool was like my home club. I went to South for a couple of years, and then Warrnambool was asking me like, come back, and I was like, kind of like my time here at South. No, everyone was great. I loved all the girls, and we all got along really well, and yeah, it was good.
Yeah, nice. I got one more question
Yeah.
for
Hit
you,
me.
and then we'll wrap it up. But favourite hobbies, things to do.
Good question. I was actually kind of thinking about this last night because I was like, this could be a question.
I didn't tell.
No.
I did what Mitch did to me in the sense of I didn't show Renee any of the questions.
I asked for them, but you didn't give me any.
No, because I knew that you would want them and I knew you would ask. So I deliberately didn't.
That's
give
just
them
me
to
trying
you.
to be like organised.
I know,
and
but I
prepared
didn't
and-
want you to prepare and
Yeah,
I didn't want you to
of
be
course.
organised for this because I just wanted you to speak your mind.
What do I do outside of uni and football and exercising? So apart from, like, I do enjoy exercising as well.
You're lifting.
Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy walking when I could do the steps, but not anymore.
Not yet. You get there.
Maybe eventually.
You just gotta save time, save steps and
Yeah.
volume for the other things at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Priorities. Other than that, recently started to try and keep working on some content for my coaching account, Instagram.
What's it called? Give yourself
At
a
Coach
shout out.
Saulitis. Saulitis is how you say it, by the way.
I also your nickname Saladas.
Yeah,
Cheese and
I'll cop
crackers?
that one.
Cheese and biscuits.
Ham and cheese, everything, every ham and cheese croissant, everything. Other hobbies. I mean, I don't know. Apart from work and uni and football, watching football, going to the football, sport. I've recently, for a while now, I've kind of read a book or a few pages before I fall asleep.
Nice.
It's not really a hobby. I don't love it, but
Right.
I still do it.
Fair. I was going to say reading is definitely one of my hobbies.
Yeah.
What
No.
book?
What's it called?
You can't have been reading that many. I don't
think
know
it's
the
called-
name.
Oh God.
I think she's going to have to get back to everyone.
Yeah. No, it's one that Beej recommended, actually.
Did she?
About leadership.
Oh, nice.
Can't remember the title, but it's about leadership.
Yeah, I think she might. Maybe she's still downstairs.
So that's been interesting. Like, before that, I was reading one about sleep. So I kind of was intrigued by sleep and enjoy looking at sleep and my sleep numbers as well, keeping track.
You are just like numbers. You just are numbers. You look at your...
Actually, I found even recently, like, for uni as well, we had to, like, do some data on Excel and stuff. And I'm like, they're, like, typing away and putting in equations.
Do you want to do my assignment for me,
Sure.
my data assignment? You were looking over the corner, you're like, this looks intense. I was like, you want to do it?
Yeah. But apart from that, I don't know, just watching football. I mean, at the moment, if I had any actual spare time and stuff, I'd probably just be watching some Netflix or relaxing, or cooking is probably another hobby, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah,
I
cooking.
was going to ask, is cooking one? Because I see all your recipes that I need to steal. I need to do something more than...
I didn't know I was, like, that able to cook, I guess. Because I went to boarding school, I didn't have to defend for myself too much with the cooking. But since moving out, I've learnt to cook a few things, and nothing extravagant, but it's still nice.
Adult now.
Yeah.
Adult things.
Don't like being an adult too. It's the money and...
I bought a lettuce the other day for $4.
I would have left it there.
I didn't know. I didn't look at how much it was going to cost.
That's like me when I get to the counter and they're like, one time I got like a iced coffee and a donut and it was probably like $16, $18 and I was like, tap. Well, you can't say no. You get to that stage.
I know,
you're like,
you can't get up. You can't be one of
tap.
that. You can't be that person that you're like,
I don't want the donut.
I don't want any of it anymore.
I'm just going to walk out.
But I had
so when you walk in a store, you've got to, I don't know, you kind of have to buy something.
You
Not in like a closed store, but maybe in a bakery or something. If you walk in, it's kind of like...
Yeah, don't be that person.
Yeah.
No, I get you. But $16.
No, for like a nice like filled donut with like Nutella and stuff though.
No, fair. It's probably worth it.
Yeah.
You just like the $16.
Yeah, I was like, Jesus. It's too much money for a donut and an iced coffee. But the iced coffees do start usually at like $6 or $7. But
yeah, I've seen your shopping list and your numbers on how everything cost. I remember you showed me when I was complaining one day.
I don't have numbers. I do track what I spend in an app, and then I also have a shopping list.
Yep, I have a shopping list.
Shopping list is very handy.
I have a shopping list.
Yeah. I've seen yours.
Yeah.
But you've told me you've also budgeted money too.
I do.
Yeah.
I have that in common. I'm just making fun of you because it's your podcast.
I can also bounce it back at you.
I know you can. We need to work on your banter.
I know.
Mitch
has tried to help.
My banter's not good. Obviously. My banter's not great, but I remember we need to work on your banter.
Oh no, don't bring anything up, will you?
No, I won't bring anything up. I can't even remember anything. Yeah. All I know is there's been several times
it's too bad.
I'm learning off your poor banter skills on what I shouldn't do.
I'm just like such a literal person. If someone tells me like, I don't know,
Renee,
the sky is orange, I'll be like,
You're
oh
like,
really?
What do you mean you hate my shoes?
Yeah. I don't know, I'm just real literal and I take quite analytical and take everything quite seriously. So if someone says something, I'm like, oh, are you serious? And like they're joking, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, no. You're spending time around the people here.
Ben was really bad.
Oh,
he gave it to me all the time. I didn't know how to give it back.
Yeah, no, that was quite funny. I just sat there watching because he used to do it to me. Well, I mean, probably still would and still did. But
you found the best person to pick on, and that was me.
It was you. Shouldn't have come to rehab.
Half the time I would. I wish.
I know. Sorry.
Nah, it's okay.
Do you have anything else to say? Anything else you want to add?
No, do you have any other more questions for me?
No more questions from me. Anything else you want to say to the Virtus fam? What are you most excited about starting at Virtus?
Staying here.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, staying here. Seeing everyone come back in, and I get to stay here as well, so I get to see everyone more often, which will be really good. I will maybe eventually take on some floor shifts, so look out for that. But yeah, I'm just excited to go out to the schools and work with Tyler and Lockie and stuff, and then just come in here and...
Do you reckon you'll pick up some country slang from Tyler?
What sort of country slang has he got?
Just wait. Tyler throws a couple of things. Just randomly says it. You'll pick it up.
All right, I'll look out for it.
You won't miss it. Believe me, you will. He's sitting in the corner right now. You won't miss it. That's for sure.
I'll look out for it.
Anything else to add?
Not really.
All right. Let me
enjoyed
make sure.
my time.
I'm glad. Let me make sure I press the right button.
That one.
Have a good day.
Bye.